Welcome back, guys. How's it going? In the last two videos we created our database migrations, but there's nothing in the database right now. It's empty, as we know. And also we created an entry point for our users to be able to perform some actions, but at the moment these buttons don't do anything. So essentially what we want to do is load some photographs first, because once we have the images we can do something with them. But before we jump into writing some code, I have something I need to talk to you. So please open up the repo again, because I forgot to add a folder last time and I have updated that folder. Sorry about that, I apologize seriously. It's just these two files, notifications and scripts, I forgot to add. So if you wanna just copy these two files, you can go inside and copy the contents of these two files and create a new file called notifications in your partials directory, notifications.plate, and paste in here, and scripts paste in here. Or you can download the whole repo and then just leave everything aside and just go to the partials folder and copy this folder into your views folder, and then you will have access to these two files. Sorry about that, but that's the only thing I wanted to mention, because we'll be making use of those files in this video. Now we have an entry point. What we want to do is basically when we press this button, it should take us to a page where there's an upload images button. So essentially, if we go to our routes.php, we have a route images that's attached to a resourceful controller, image controller, and also in our home.plate we have that button called upload images, which is hitting this route called images. So that's going to in return hit the index method of this image controller, which is the right now I think it's empty. We haven't really done anything in that. Yeah, so let's go ahead and start writing some of the code here, which will create an entry point for this route. So the very first thing, please do this: create a function, the constructor, and write a constructor that this middleware is gas, so everyone can access this application. I've already done that. You can also do that by writing this piece of code, because there's no authentication in this application. Everyone is invited to give an opinion. The next thing we're going to do is basically return a view, and essentially that view is going to be called pages.upload. And in the pages.upload, I already provided you this view in the pages upload here. That view is provided to you in the GitHub repo. All it does is creates a div, and inside the div I'm including this partials.notifications, so your notifications file will be there. Once the images are loaded, it's going to set a session variable called success, because it's and the notification, if the session variable has success, if session has success variable, it's going to display the message, whatever notification came from the controller, as a green alert success. If it has warning, it's going to display alert warning. If it's error, it's going to display alert danger. That's just straight Bootstrap stuff, so you don't need to worry too much about it. You can learn about this more in Bootstrap. Just Google Bootstrap if you don't know. I suppose everyone should know. Then we are creating just a jumbotron. That's again Bootstrap, and essentially what we're doing is creating a button with a form that fires image controller at store method, and the script it written inside the store method is going to look for all the images in the models directory, which we have already copied from the GitHub repo and pasted here in the whole public folder. It has img and models, so make sure you have this, you pasted everything from the, like I mentioned in my very first video, the setting up project. Make sure to watch that video so you can download the repo from the link in the description. So if you go here, you will see one of my videos. The link in the description. Get started with the source code repo and go to the repo here, which has all these directories. Download them as a zip and follow the video tutorial to set up the project. And once you set up all these files, your public directory should look like something like this, with img and models and all these images in there. So we'll be writing that script inside this store method, which will run and upload this whole thing. try to access these models, the images, and load in the database. But before it does that, it has to run a couple of checks whether this file is a JPG or PNG, and then only we proceed to storing them in the database. Otherwise we won't touch them. So that's all about the form. But after we have already installed these images, we also want to give a chance to, we'll be expanding this form, give a chance to the user so he can upload an image from the URL. So that's why I gave this encoding type multi-part form data, because right now it doesn't do anything because we are not posting any data in any file data. But in the future, if you expand this form, you give a URL, you can get the contents of that URL and then post to the controller. Well, we'll talk about this in the future lessons. So right now the view is ready, and this view uses a variable called images. If there are some images in the database, we want to display this button called start game, start playing, which will hit this route game. But if there are no images, it won't display the button otherwise. So we must pass this variable as well, because without passing in this variable from the view, we cannot access. And then here we will create this variable which is essentially querying all the images. And make sure to use this image model as app image as image. PHP Storm automatically pulls in, Sublime also pulls in automatically. You can use one of the packages, I think it's called the package is called, what is it called? I'm forgetting. It's called auto import. Yeah, so it's called auto import. You can register this package and you can download this package from the package control. And what it does, first time when you run it, it's going to create this database of oracle.sqlite, give it a path where you want to create. It's going to store all these class names, so when you want to import something, it knows what you're talking about. But to make it work, you can Google auto import, you can find more information about this. To make it work, you have to go to key bindings user and register all these key bindings. You can find all these key bindings on GitHub. Just type auto import GitHub Sublime plugin and it'll give you all these key bindings. So basically if you type F10 or F9, it's going to do your import and find and use. Anyway, that's slightly something different to, sorry about that, I made a mistake here in typing. So we passed in this variable, we said serve this view. Now if we try to click here, which is upload images, it should give us this view. If you don't have the view, you may have some error. Try to debug that error if you can. If you can't, just send me a message or a comment. I remember that in our image model, I forgot to add this end of the line after this array end of the line. So if you get an error that unexpected this bracket or at line number 19, just put an end of line here and it should work. Anyway, then we have our view. Now the next thing we want to do is work on our store method, because this is going to fire when we press the button. So let's see, we just return hello for now, hello from store, and let's see if it gives us. So it's giving us hello from store. That means it's working, that method is working. So button is hooked up to the method. It's able to post using the form created in our upload.php. The form is working, so it's good. Now what are we trying to do here? We're trying to say upload all the images from img/models directory. So let's create a path variable that's going to store the path of the target directory. And then what we're trying to say is we're going to use a PHP function here. If this directory exists, let's make a check here, give it a path. Then I want you to do this, otherwise I want you to return redirect back with error. Sorry, it's lowercase. Images directory, and we can say here the path, and then we can say not found. That way we know why it has exited. So we can say here the error variable and images directory with path this not found, and end of the line. Otherwise, let's just display a good success message here if the directory is found. So images directory. So sometimes we need to do this. It's not really required, but to go step by step, we need to do this. So we'll do this and upload. And if you see this green message, that means you have pasted the assets from the GitHub repo successfully. And when you hook up this in the controller, you should, this function, PHP function, is able to check if the directory exists and returns true, and then this will be fired. But you can comment out for now. That was the first step. That's okay. And you can also check by renaming these folders. If it cannot find these folders, it will return an error. But I know that works, so that's okay, because my path matches to the path, the target directory, so that's okay. So what are we trying to do here next? We are trying to basically, once we know that directory exists, let's create a handle. Basically what I want to do is get access to the directory, which means open the directory and then read the directory one by one, and then I'm going to give you options of two type of files, which is JPG and PNG. So you read the file and pull out the extension from the file and match with the options array. If this extension exists in the array, then I want you to check if this file already exists in the database. If it doesn't, then I want you to add this in the database and keep doing that for each of the files, and then you give a success message and return redirect back to the view. So that's something what I said in 5-6 lines we have to establish here. So we'll get a handle. So open directory and give it a path. So once you have an handle on the directory, you can dry and dump this handle and see what it gives you. So it gives me this directory, which is essentially read-only right now, because by default is only read-only unless I give the right permission, and go step by step. That's okay for now. So we are on the right track. So once you have handle, what do you want to do? So basically you want to say that you want to read this directory, which is, you want to read the file. So read directory, and then you give the handle. But then again, you want to do it for each file. So that means you will have to run some kind of loop here. So I want you to run a loop for each of the file, and until it's not false, I want you to keep doing that. So basically, so I want you to what is going on here? Okay, so I need you to read this directory, and if there is a file inside the directory, which means it will return true, but if it returns it's false, we want to close the directory, which means it's end of the file or there is no file. So we'll close the handle and we'll return redirect back with success. Images, so all images were successfully loaded. We want to send this message back to the, now this is a little bit of buggy, because if there is no file, it's still going to close the directory and then return redirect with success. But we're trying to build a rapid prototype here. Of course, if we try to rectify each and everything, it's going to be like huge code base. So we know there are files. As long as we know there are files, it's going to run over each file and then take us back to this page. That's fine. Once our prototype is working, we can come back and fix these things, clean things up. So rapid prototyping is all about taking shortcuts, making a functional prototype, and don't get distracted by the other not so important things. I know this is a buggy, but it's not. So if it has like 100 files, it will load each of these and then return redirect. If it has 0 files, it will open the directory. Now because it won't run true, it will be false, there will be no files, so it will close the directory and then return redirect with this message called all images were successfully loaded, but actually there was no image. So that's the bug. We will fix this in a minute. So let's focus on loading the image. So I want you to run over each file. Now it will scan the first file. In all the Windows and Unix and Linux, I think there are dot and dot dot folders, and then there is .ds_store. Now we don't wanna store that file in our database, so we have to write a if condition. If the file is not equal to dot and not equal to dot dot and not equal to dot ds underscore. If you're on Windows, probably you don't need this, but dot and dot dot is always a good thing. If the file you found is not equal to any of these, then I want you to do something with the file. So I want you to get the extension. And how to get the extension is we're going to use a path info standard PHP function. We're going to give a path here, which is in this case is going to be file, the file that is being read currently, and the options are going to be path info extension, which is again a PHP constant. And also I'm going to be defining what kind of files I allow for this database. So it's going to be an array, and it's going to have JPG and PNG options only at the moment. I know all the files are JPG, but I'm just going to create for the sake of this tutorial. So next thing is, we know the once, okay, let's recap what we've done so far. This is the path of my directory. I want you to check if the directory exists, then do this, otherwise go back and tell me the directory doesn't exist. Now if the directory exists, I want you to open the directory and create a handle, store that result true or false in this handle, and then I want you to read the directory, the first file, and if it's not equal to dot 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 or ds store, then I want you to get the extension of that file, which is going to be .jpg. JPG, not .jpg, just JPG. And I want you to accept this array of files. But now I want you to run a check whether this extension exists in this file, in this array. So if in array, which is a PHP function, so basically what that means is whatever it requires two things, needle and the haystack. So the needle is going to be this extension. If this extension exists in the list of extensions I'm giving you, then proceed with the code, otherwise don't do this. So I'm gonna give here extension, and I'm gonna give the options. Then I want you to do something, and so basically this kind of script can get really long, but just go easy and slowly, and it'll be okay. So if the extension is JPG and it matches JPG option, I want you to create the title, because we want to store the title in a database as we have defined here title. Although it was set to nullable, but we can always store it. You know, we know something is going to be here. And I want you to create a slug, just in case some names, most of the names are already like, they are not broken, there's no space. But if some name, for example, if some name has a space, it's going to remove the space and replace it with a hash. But these are all good names. I don't see any spaces, so but still I have to do it for the lesson tutorial. So I want you to create a title using string slug function, which is, I think, everyone should know. And how to create that is use a base name, which is going to be the name of the file, and I want you to explode anything after this extension. So what it says is basically, give me the full name of the file and tell me what you don't want in the title. So I said append this. So this is I don't want, and I want you to create a title. So let's just die and dump, and according to this we should see the first file is wallpaper-03.jpg. we should see in the browser wallpaper-03 once we click upload button. So let's go back and refresh. It's not equal. Image controller line number 46. What did I do wrong? Dollar file not equal to dot and not equal to dot dot, and I forgot to write the variable here, and the file is not equal to. Save it and then refresh it, and then it gives us the button. So we will press this button. We should see that the wallpaper 03 is there. So what it does, removes the extension, removes this hash, not hash, the hyphen, and the first hyphen, and gives us this name, the base name, the title. We're going to store this title, and now we need, next thing is the file name, and file name is going to be essentially the full name of the file it's reading right now. So that's okay, that we can just use that. I want you to search the image with this file name, where we're going to use a where clause, and then we're going to say file name is equal to let's just say file name, because that's why we created this variable here, file name file. Otherwise we could just say file, but just, and then we're going to say get. Now it's going to give us if this file exists in the database, and we can die and dump this, but you'll see that there's no results. You can just refresh it and it'll resubmit the form. It'll return us empty array. So there's no data with this So basically that's how you search. Make sure, and excuse me for a second, I've got a phone call. I'll be back in a minute. Sorry about that. I got a phone call. It was okay. Everything is fine. So we don't have any image. We already confirmed that. And next thing we want to do is if condition. Once we know that this image, we know that the count of this image is basically 0. Let's just say is equal to 0. Then we want to create a new image. Basically we're going to say image create, and here I'm going to be passing in this array, which is essentially going to be title, and it's going to be equal to title, and this is going to be the file name, and that's it. It's going to create the image. But if the count is not, let's just say the image is there, it's going to read this image and it's going to check if it returns more than 0. That means there is an image. In that case, I want you to do something. What I want you to do, run another condition, and the condition is going to be basically, now we know that there's no result at the moment, but if the count image is 0, I want you to create a new image. That's good. But if the count is equal to something which is 1, what we should do here, what we should do is we should check if the image variable and whatever was the first result, because it returns a collection, so whatever is the first result and its file name is equal to the file name that we're talking about, then I want you to try this. Otherwise I want you to catch exception E, which is going to, and then I want you to just die the script. So what are we trying to do here? Like there are no images, then I wanted to create an image. But if there is one, and then find the first one in that collection, and if they're equal to this, then in that case basically there's nothing that we can do. There's nothing that we want to check. What we want to check here, yeah, I think there's nothing that we need to do this one here. I think we may not need this. Where is this? So let's just comment out for now. We'll come back to this in a minute. What we should do is just return redirect. Yeah, the logic can get sometimes a bit complex. It takes some time to figure out, but that's okay. It's not about writing bad logic, it's about writing some working logic, no matter if it takes some time. And we're going to return error that the so if the count is more than 0, then I want to use this error, which is basically going to say the image first. I'm going to say file name, and I'm going to append already exist in the database, and that will tell me that script has stopped. And I'm going to say consider changing the image. So once the images are loaded, we can't reload them. Of course we want to keep them unique, that way we can keep up with the ranks. We don't need this shit, so get rid of this. So just excuse me for a second, I've got another phone call. Sorry about that, guys. I'm back. So what we're trying to say, if there is an image, then the image has to be unique. Send me an error message back to the page, otherwise load the images. And that's it. That's all we want to do. There's nothing else. So let's go ahead, save this file, and let's see if it can load some of the images, man. That's the whole task of this video. Upload. And it looks like the script is good. There's no error. All images were successfully loaded, and the button was displayed to us because now the count of images returns true. There's something there. It's not empty. And let's go back to our database and refresh. So I've got here a lot of images with file name, and when we created the database schema, we entered the score is going to be default 0, score is going to be default 1500, wins and losses is going to be 0, and rank is going to be 0 as well. And we have 70 images here, and in my here, I'm not sure how many images are there, but I can try to open it in the Finder, and I can say Control A, get info. It's 71. It says when I right click, it says 71 items, but we have 71 images, 70 images, and that's the reason. Probably is because one of the image, maybe the name is same or the extension is different. Something is not right. That's why I didn't load that image. It's okay. I'm trying to find quickly. Okay, so this image here, it has an extension of capitalized JPG and not a small JPG, and for that reason it hasn't done that. So I'm gonna edit my options array here. All we have to do is add, but then there could be so many variations of this where, so if it's any of these like capitalized JPG or small JPG like lowercase, and then it'll still upload them. So when you can, what we'll do, we'll go to our terminal here and we'll say migrate rollback, and we're gonna say, or you can just say refresh, that rolls back as well as migrates again. So we have fresh database again is empty, and we'll refresh it. It's going to display us just this button. We're going to upload again, and this time when we refresh we should have 71 images. So that was the capitalized image, which was img, where is that, here. This is extension is capitalized JPG. That's why it wasn't, the script wasn't accepting it. It was rejecting that file name. It wasn't found in this array, but that's okay. So this is all good. We have the images. The next step is to make the view for the game controller, so we can click on this button and start our game. So thanks for watching this video. Make sure to give some thumbs up, hit some likes, and share this video with your friends and anyone who you think can benefit from this video, even if they're learning PHP, not Laravel, because they can always learn some of the tips and tricks, how to upload images to the database, how to do certain things, you know. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.